Hey, it's Kat here and I'm super excited today because I have a very special tutorial for you. This is the first in the exclusive series of the Taylor Swift crochet dress series. Today I'm going to show you how to crochet the back panel, which is the simplest and largest panel there is. So if you're ready to go, grab yourself a tea or coffee and let's get started. The yarns I'm using are cotton yarns from Lovecraft Yarn and Colours, and I will link this all below along with the amounts that you'll need. I'm also using a 5mm hook. The back panel is the easiest panel and it consists of a repeat of 2 rows of purple, 4 rows of orange, 1 of brown, 1 cream and then brown, cream and then 1 more of brown. This pattern is then repeated 4 times and that's all there is to it. I'm going to start off with my purple yarn and I'm going to make a slip knot. And then I'm going to chain 106. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we now have our chain of 106. And what we're going to do is start by double crocheting into the 7th chain from the hook. So this is the first chain. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and it's the 7th one we want to go into. So we're going to yarn over, go into that 7th chain from the hook, yarn over again, pull up a loop. You have 3 loops on your hook and you're going to yarn over and pull through 2 and then yarn over and pull through the next 2. That's your first double crochet, which will make your first granny stitch. Now what we're going to do is the same thing in that same chain. So yarn over, go through, yarn over and pull through. You have 3 loops on your hook. Grab your yarn and pull through those 2, and then grab your yarn again and pull through those next 2. You now have 2 double crochets in 1 stitch. You want 1 more and then that will make your granny stitch. So we're going to go in again, pull up, just as we did before, and there we have our first granny stitch. And you're going to be carrying these on all the way along row 1, and you're going to separate them by a chain. So we have just done the granny stitch, and after every granny stitch we're going to chain 1. So I'm going to chain 1, and then the next granny stitch we're going to do is in the 4th stitch along. So 1, 2, 3, and then in this 4th stitch here you're going to do exactly the same granny stitch as you did here. So we're going to yarn over, go in, grab your yarn and pull through 2, and pull through 2 again. We're going to be doing the same thing twice more, and if you don't have this yet, then you will get it by the end of this row or a couple of rows time, because it's going to repeat the whole way along and it gets into a nice rhythm. So that's another granny stitch. Then we're going to chain 1. We now have 2 granny stitches and we're going to carry this along. So in the 4th chain along, 1, 2, 3, and then in the 4th one we're going to start our next granny stitch. This 1, 2, and 3. Yay! Okay, so we are going to chain 1 again, and you can see that lovely pattern taking shape. I'm going to do this all the way along the row. Now remember, you need to leave a gap of 3 stitches on this bottom here. So you're going to be going into the 4th chain after every granny stitch. And make sure you do your chain 1 at the top. I'm going to meet you at the end of row 1, and then we'll carry on onto row 2. Alright, so now we're coming to the end of row 1, and this is our last granny stitch in the row, so we're going to chain 1 after this, and then we're going to be left with a chain of 3. And in the last stitch, you're not doing any more granny stitches, but you are going to double crochet 1 in this very last stitch. So the same stitch you've been doing to make your granny stitches, which is the double crochet stitch, just one of those in that last stitch to finish off that row. Moving on to row 2, we are going to chain 3. So 1, 2, 3, turn our work, and then we're going to work 2 double crochets into this space here. So just into the space, no fiddling about, just straight into that space. So it's 1 and then 2. And what this does is make our first granny stitch of this next row, and it creates the start of this kind of checkerboard effect that we're going for. So along this row, you're just going to do exactly the same as you did in row 1. So you're going to, that's your first granny stitch, because this chain counts as one of your double crochets, and then you're going to chain 1, just like you have been doing before. Your next granny stitch is going to be in this hole here. So you're going to grab your yarn, go straight in, and make sure not to have this too loose and not too tight. Just have it a good tension on there. Grab your yarn, pull through. You're going to have 3 loops on your hook. Yarn over and pull through 2. Yarn over and pull through the next 2. And you're going to do this twice more to make that lovely granny stitch that we're used to now. So once more, and one more time. Now all your granny stitches from now on are just going to be in these holes, so you don't have to worry about fiddling about with counting stitches or anything. It's quite nice because you can just aimlessly chain 1 and then go for your 3 double crochets in the next hole. Now I'm going to do this all the way along the row, and then I'm going to show you how to finish off this row and then switch colours to this beautiful bright orange. Your work should look a little bit like this, and I've done my chain, and in this space I'm going to start off by doing the granny, well I am going to do the granny stitch, so I'm going to do 2 double crochets in the space. And then I'm going to work 1 double crochet in the top of the last kind of stitch. You're going to yarn over first, go into that stitch, pull through, and then yarn over and pull through 2. Now I'm going to leave it there and change colour. So this is how I change colours. I do it mid-stitch. Okay, so you're going to get your orange. I'm going to take that one off, pop this one on. What you would have done is taken your yarn, your purple yarn, and pull up through these 2 loops. Instead of the purple, you're going to drop the purple and pick up the orange. Okay, so just kind of pop that over your hook. You can do a slip knot if you like, and then just pull that through those 2. That means you're all ready for your next row of orange, and it means that the colours don't really bleed, they don't have a chance to bleed into each other. So that's kind of finish that off with the purple, and then the orange can be a completely new colour. Now what I'm going to do here is I'm going to weave these ends in straight away, because you're going to have quite a lot of ends, and I would recommend weaving the ends in as you go along for this project. I'm going to cut the purple yarn. That's out of the picture, and I'm going to tie the two yarns together in a double knot. Because they're glaringly obviously different colours, we're going to weave in the purple into this side, and we're going to leave this out, and we're going to crochet it up into our work. I think I'm going to kind of weave it into this stitch here, so you really won't be able to see it. I'm going to chop that, and then kind of pull that a little bit, and that should be lost. Perfect, so we now can get on with our orange row. So this is row 3, exciting, and in row 3 we're going to chain 4, and in that chain we're going to incorporate this little tail here. So we're going to kind of hold it up and crochet around it. Hold that there, and we're going to chain 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, so then we can chop that end off, like so, and then we are going to turn our work, and we can start the next row. In this row, row 3, we've done our chain 4. Now we're going to put granny stitches in all of these spaces along, okay? So we're just going to go straight into this hole with a granny stitch, like we've been doing. This whole panel, and the whole of the back panel, is now just made up of row 2 and 3 over and over again. There is some switching yarns involved, but it is row 2 and 3 over and over again. So say this is row 3, and then the next row you're going to carry on with the orange, and it's going to be row 2 again, even though it's called row 4, but you're going to repeat for row 4. For the next one you're just going to repeat row 2, and then for row 5 you're going to repeat row 3, and so on until you have finished the back panel. Now you're going to be doing this orange for 4 rows. So what I'll do, this is exactly the same as you've been doing before, but what I'll do is I'll meet you when we get to the end of row 3. When we go on to the next row we can do that together, so you can see exactly what to do. But yeah, let me know in the comments what you think about this, if you're enjoying it. I mean, it's so nice to have something made up of just one stitch. It's not too involved once you get the stitch, and all it is going into the spaces, so it's pretty easy once you get the hang of it. All you got to do is just learn how to switch yarns, which is probably the most challenging part in this, because there's a lot of switching going on. So I'll meet you when we get to the end of this row, and we'll go on to the next row together. All right, so we're nearly at the end of row 3, and I'm just going to do my chain 1, and then I'm going to work 1 double crochet in this, the top of this last stitch here. So it's going to kind of go under there, but you can, it doesn't really matter, just as long as it's right at the end. Oh gosh. It's tricky. Right, there we go. The good news is we are not changing yarns here. All we're going to do is repeat row 2. So we're going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3, turn our work. So if you have a space here, you're going to work those 2 double crochets like we did it in row 2. To make up the granny stitch at the end. And then you're golden. All you've got to do is just work all the way along in all these holes, just like we have been. And I'll meet you when we get to the end of the row. Amazing. So this is what it should look like at the end of row 4. And I'm just going to be finishing this off. We've done row 1, 2, 3, 4, and as row 4 is a repeat of row 2, then row 5 is going to be a repeat of row 3. From now on, you are just going to be repeating rows 2 and 3. So yeah, you should be able to tell when you get to the end of what you're doing, because then you'll be finishing off the checkerboard effect. No matter what colour you go to, you're going to be repeating rows 2 and 3 over again. Okay, so I'm going to do 2 more rows of this orange, and I'll meet you back when you are finished the orange, and then we're going to swap to the brown. It's looking amazing. So by the end of row 6, you should have something that looks like this. And now we're going to switch to our brown yarn. I'm not going to patronise you and keep on showing you how to switch colours. You know how to do that anyway, but I'm just going to quickly do it again here just to refresh. We're coming to the end. So, switcheroo. We're going to get rid of this. I'm going to do exactly the same thing. I'm going to just tie a little knot between the 2 so nothing goes anywhere, and then I'm going to weave in both ends. So I've just weaved the orange in, and now I'm going to start crocheting with the brown. I'm going to keep my brown up here, and I'm going to make a chain of 4 and kind of weave this in as well. So I'm going to try and crochet around it as I did before. Okay, so now I'm going to just chop that bit off. Bye bye. And now we can start afresh on our row. So we're going to do just 1 row of brown. End of row 7, and we are switching to the cream. This cream is gorgeous. I'm going to do cream, and then I'm going to do another row of brown, and I'll meet you when you are done. All right, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We actually have 2 more rows to do, so we're going to do another row of cream, another row of brown. I will meet you back here, and then we'll just repeat this whole thing. Oh my gosh, we've done the whole thing. This is like one of the panels, and now all you need to do is repeat this. Okay, so we've done the whole of this section. You're going to have 11 rows, and these 11 rows are going to be repeated 4 times. I might need to do 4 times, or I might need to do 3 depending on your size. I'm just going to give you an idea of how long this is. So on the website that Taylor got hers from, it says the length is 75 centimeters, which is about 29.5 inches. This one is just over 80, which is quite nice because it's a little bit longer. I've tried lots of different lengths and this seems to be a good one. So this actual panel is around 7 inches wide or 17 centimeters wide. So then if you think it's going to be like 4 times that, then that is what your final product is. So you could do 3 or 4 times, or you don't have to do as many, but yeah, that is the basic thing. So you're just going to repeat this 3 or 4 times, and we're going to go back to our purple. So we're going to join the purple just as before. We're going to do 2 rows of purple, 4 rows of orange, brown, cream, brown, cream, brown, and then go back to the purple again. And I'll meet you when you are done. Alrighty, so here we go. I've repeated this pattern 3 times and it's well enough, I think. If you want to repeat it again, that's absolutely fine if you need a more slouchy look, because then it'll be wider. But this is 52 centimeters or 20.5 inches. That's absolutely perfect. I would say that's kind of a medium. What I'm going to do to finish this off now is, it's not symmetrical, obviously, but to kind of finish it off and make sure it's capped at both sides, I'm going to add 2 more rows of purple on this end. So you've done your 3, and then you're just going to add 2 rows of purple to finish it off. So I'll meet you when you've done those, and then we'll have our back panel done. All right, so here we go. We have our repeating pattern of 3, and then I've added 2 rows of purple, and this is your back panel done. I'm just going to take the loop here and pull it out like this. And then we're done. So there we go, guys. It's not actually as hard as you think, is it? Please tell me that it's not. It's just a repeating pattern over and over again. And I really hope you join me for the next panel, which is going to be the front panel video. I will link that here for you, and I'll see you in that video.